Deb, you ready? Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to start the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners regular meeting to order. We will stand for the pledge and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Here.
Commissioner Lubke,
Here.
Commissioner Barrows,
Here.
Commissioner Franzine. Here. Commissioner Hogg.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Open forum. Is there anybody here for open forum today? I do not have anything in front of me. Nobody online for open forum?
Nope.
Okay. We will go on to review and approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Franzine,
Second.
second by Barrows.
Commissioner,
Oh, that's right, roll call. I keep forgetting.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine. Aye. Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg.
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye. Number 4, review and approve the agenda.
No changes or additions.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Mo- Motion by Franzine, second by Hoag. All in favor, roll call.
Commissioner Franzine. Aye. Commissioner Barrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg.
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye. Motion carried. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, if there's no discussion, I would make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Barrows, second by Franzine. Roll call.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg.
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine. Aye. Commissioner Lubke.
Aye. Motion carried. Public hearing.
Not quite ready. 9:05.
Wow. We gotta wait 3 minutes. I was moving too fast.
Mr. Chair, if we want to move to number 7.
Sure. Community Services, the Region 5 State Crisis Grant Contract.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Tammy Lewick, Community Services, Adult Services Manager. I'm bringing before you today the request to ask for your approval of the state crisis grant contract between the state of Minnesota, the Department of Human Services, and the Behavioral Health Administration Division and Crow Wing County on behalf of Region 5 Plus Adult and Children's Crisis Response Grant. This is a 2-year grant, so the last time I was before you was around 2 years ago. And so it's our state grant. You can see the amount there. We have $2,521,647 for 25 and 26. And I don't know if you have questions. This is the grant that serves the 6 counties, so it's Aiken, Cass, Crow Wing, Morrison, Todd, and Wadena County. And I ran a couple of stats before I came, and up from beginning of the year to now, so through third quarter, I shouldn't say through now, the crisis line along with the Hope Line, which is a partnership between Northern Pines and the crisis line, they've received 2,639 calls. We've had 1,600, right around 1,600 MCO, mobile crisis outreach screenings. I thought another thing that you may be interested in is right around 60% of these calls are Crow Wing County. The breakdown for our kids is we had 206 calls for youth 0 to 17, 605 18 to 64, and 33 screenings for those over 65. We try throughout the region to have the response time be within 45 minutes, and they've been able to meet that over 50% of the time. So it's not not always. They do try to get on the line with the individuals and/or maybe somebody that's with them. Sometimes when they're in a hospital or a safe setting, that can also be helpful in keeping the person safe until the mobile crisis team arrives. And then one other piece that people don't always know is that our crisis grant also includes crisis stabilization services. So after they meet with the individual, they do offer follow-up services to the family or the individuals. And we had an acceptance rate this year of right around 68% of those have been accepting that follow-up, at least maybe like one visit after their crisis episode. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Oh, Mr. Chair, if there are no questions or discussion, I would make the motion to approve the state crisis grant contract between the state of Minnesota through its Department of Human Services. I'm not going to read the whole thing, so I've made the motion. Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Barrows, second by Franzine. Roll call.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy. Land Services, oh, wait, now we're doing public hearing. Got 1 minute, so.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. So, Land Services is here before you today to talk about our 2025 harvest plan. We've been to a committee the whole meeting and talked about it as well, and we're here today seeking the public hearing and then hopefully approval afterwards. So annually, the county board is asked to approve the harvest plan following the public hearing today. A one-year harvest plan is derived from the Forest Resources Plan and consists of a pool of forest stands which are considered for a timber harvest. Before any timber is offered for sale, a detailed examination is completed by staff, and anything that is not ready or unsuitable for harvest is deferred and a re-inventory is completed. The harvest plan consists of numbered timbered acres that we're planning to treat in 2025. The county administrator's office has notified those that are interested with the harvest plan information, and then we have had the harvest plan posted for the better part of a month at the Land Services office and the Brainerd Public Library. So you see up here today on the screen, this is the goals we're shooting for 2025. As I mentioned, this is based off of our Forest Resources Plan and a model that has been done on our existing inventory of tax forfeited lands. And then if you would like to scroll one more, there's a map as well that shows the proposed areas that we're going to look into for 2025.
So, Mr. Chair, if there's no questions, I'll make the motion to go into the public hearing at, what time is it? 8:09
908.
or 9:08? Sorry, dyslexic.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is this roll call also, isn't it?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye, we are in public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak to our county harvest plan? Do that 3 times, correct? Is there anybody here or online that would like to speak to our county harvest plan? Is there anybody here or online who would like to speak to our county harvest plan? I have none.
Mr. Chair, hearing none, I would make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Barrows, second by Franzine. Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye. Public hearing closed.
Now we'll be looking for a motion to approve. the
Right.
harvest plan.
Is there anybody make a motion for our plan?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Franzine,
Second.
second by Hoag. Roll call.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye.
Oh, Commissioner Franzine? Aye.
Oops. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Land Services.
Good morning, First item we have on the agenda is the final plat of the Baker Event Center. This was before you at the meeting a couple weeks ago for the preliminary plat, and this is now just coming forward with the final plat. There's no new roads in this, and so this is a pretty simple plat. This is located on Church Road down in Long Lake Township. And unless there's any questions, I'd recommend approval of the final plat as submitted.
Mr. Chair, if there are no questions, I would make the motion to approve the plat of the Baker Event Center consisting of 3 total lots, consisting of 3 individual lots for the plat of Baker Event Center, authorizing the county chair to sign.
Second.
Motion by Barrows, second by Hoag. All, roll call.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
No.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
So moving on, next up, we have a request to enter into a cooperative agreement with the DNR for a fishing pier extension at our Little Emily Lake Park. I think you've all been there, but we have a fishing pier located on Little Emily Lake as part of the park, and we are proposing to enter into a cooperative agreement with the DNR to add a 20-foot piece onto that pier to push it farther into the lake as an enhancement to the existing pier. As part of the agreement, the DNR has agreed that they would pay for the cost of the extension along with delivery, and then Land Services would pay for the installation of that pier.
That includes in bringing it in the spring, taking it out in the fall?
That pier stays in
That-
year-round.
Because of
Mr.
the
Chair.
size of the lake?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I would make the motion to move into agreement with the DNR.
Second.
Motion by Hoag, second by Franzine. All in favor, roll call.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye.
you.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair, the last item we have on the agenda, 8.3, would be the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. I'd like to point out and thank Commissioner Lepke for being part of that process and being part of the policy committee. The Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan is getting near completion, and it is going to the Board of Water and Soil Resources for final approval on January 6th of 2025. In your packet, you've got a resolution that would adopt the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan as the comprehensive local water management plan within the Crow Wing River watershed from 2025 to 2035. And so by adopting this plan, what it does is it updates the local water plan to be replaced by the watershed management plan. Teresa, if you could go to this map here. There it is. So just as a reminder, when you look at it from the county, we've got 5 watersheds. We've got the Pine, if I can find it here. Well, yeah, there we go. We got the Pine, and then Mississippi Brainerd, the Rum, Mississippi River Sartell, and the Crow Wing River. This is the one river watershed that we're working on right now is here in the Crow Wing River. We have a completed plan in the Pine River, Mississippi River Brainerd, and the Rum. Mississippi River Sartell is in the process of starting the process to develop a plan there. We've elected to not participate in that just because of the small part of the county that it covers for us. And then if you go down to the next slide. So it's a big watershed. It starts all the way up in Clearwater County, comes through Becker, Hubbard, and Wadena, Cass, and then there's a bit of it that comes over here actually in Todd County by Staples. And then from when the Crow Wing River starts to where it ends, it actually has a confluence at the Crow Wing River State Park. And so we're at the bottom of the watershed, but it's got a lot of important resources here for us and related to Lake Edward, Round, North Long, Hubert, Gull, in that area. So that's the part of the watershed that it covers. Just to give you a couple ideas of what's being discussed, if you could go down to this page here, Therese, yep, that'll work. And so there's goals for this for agricultural land management, land protection, shoreline management, connectivity related to fish passage and culverts, drinking water protection, forest and plant health, nutrient reduction, and then building in resiliency for we're trying to just overall make the watershed more when we see these larger rain events and that, just to build a resilient watershed. I think what's really important about this watershed is that there's a lot of, it's a big drinking water source for us and for those folks that are downstream. And so I'd like to point out and thank Melissa Barrick and her team from Soil and Water. They've done a lot of the lion's share of the work on this and really getting the plan where it's at, working with the other partners within the watershed. So I'd like to thank them for all their effort and time putting into this. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have for me, but I'd recommend approval of the resolution as submitted.
It just came in the room. Would you like to speak to that at all, Melissa, before we ask questions, or I'll ask questions of you?
Okay. After you ran up the 3 flights worth of.
Yeah, right.
If I did that, they'd have to drag me in the room.
Mr. Chair, members, thank you. It's a big watershed, so it's been a good process between all the partners to kind of get where we are today, and I also recommend the plan for approval.
I've just add a little comment. I've been on 2 of the watersheds in Crow Wing County right now, the Little Pine, which is pretty much all evolving lakes. For me, getting on this watershed, and you're looking at the Gull and that area, in Crow Wing County, but the diversity of this watershed.
Right.
I mean, the agriculture, you get to Hubbard, you got the irrigation, you've also got tribal lands, you've got wild rice. To me, it just blew me away of how diverse we are in 100 miles of Crow Wing County.
Well, and there's a reason I think this watershed was towards the end of the process from a statewide perspective, just because I think we had to practice a little bit on some other watersheds so that we came to these more complex ones. We had our methodology, really ironed out as far as getting everything laid out. And so I think Mariah Roofer with Houston Engineering, who worked on other plans for us, did a great job of orchestrating and trying to get everybody in the right spots to give the right information so that you could put a plan together. So yeah, it is a complex watershed, probably one of the most complex in the state.
And I was able to reach out and meet with a bunch of other commissioners from those different counties to see what their issues are versus what our issues are.
Right.
And we're all here to make it better. Right. And putting those tools in place to make that happen. This is what the watersheds are for, so.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'll make the motion to adopt the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan.
Second.
Motion by Franzine, second by Barrows. Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lebke?
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing all finished.
Thank you.
We are here now with the county sheriff and department and the RMS update. And I think that's this lady coming up here.
Commissioners, are you okay if I stand rather than sit? Would
It's
that
up to
be
you.
okay?
It's whatever works best for you.
Just break this tree.
You broke it.
I broke it?
Yeah.
Just pull it up.
Just pull the bottom of it up, Tina, and it'll just.
Good now. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yep.
I'm Tina Elder.
Oh.
I'm the administrative manager of the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office. I'm here representing all of law enforcement in a collaborative effort that we've had with the RMS program. Commissioners, we had come to you before to talk about this RMS project that we're going to be rolling out, or hopefully rolling out. We're here today to ask for your approval, but I've presented at the CAL meeting that we had in September. We've talked at the budget meeting. So for some of you guys, the information that I'm going to provide today is redundant, and you've already seen it, but if you would indulge me, I'd like to start a little bit further back for anybody that may be watching that isn't aware of what this project is and what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Therese, if you'd be so kind as to pull up the PowerPoint. So we're here today to request the approval of the RMS project for the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office.
For anyone who is watching, what our RMS is, RMS stands for the Records Management System. It is the primary system that is used by all of law enforcement within Crow Wing County. We share our current system with ourselves, the Sheriff's Office, and all of our partnering PDs. And I'm fortunate enough today to have all of the Chief of Police from all those agencies here in the audience supporting this project. It is the system that we use for dispatching our CAD, for if you call into dispatch and get a dispatcher, they put your information into this system, it gets out to the mobiles and into the cars so that the individuals in the field know what they need to know in order to provide a response. Information that they collect is then put into the system, and we have our records team or our civil process teams that are processing that. We partner with the county attorney's office or our city prosecutor. It's the backbone of everything that we do in order to provide the service that we're trusted with providing. So the current system that we've had since 2007. 2007, technology-wise, is a long time. There may be a few people that still have their TVs from that time frame. I know that I tend to keep mine forever and ever, but technology, if you pay attention to it, it's changing faster than anything. And so for us to have gotten 17 plus years out of our existing system is pretty dang amazing. 2 years ago, we received a letter indicating that the individual that had bought out our company, we've gone through three buyouts, excuse me. The last buyout, they've been promising that there is going to be no end of life to our current system, but we had received a letter 2 years ago indicating that there was a potential, that they were now playing with the idea of giving it an end of life, and we could just enter into their other software at a premium price, and we realized that we needed to start looking for something different. They've since recanted it, so we don't have an end of life on the current system, but we have been doing our homework and we have been searching for something new. So that was in late 2022, and in 2023 we've been working the process, and 2024. We have done workshops with the users that have been using the existing system to try to create synergy. We assembled a steering committee of representatives to take the lead in reviewing what needs to be done on this project and to ensure that it keeps moving on task. We have did our homework by inviting people to come in and show us the systems that they had. You could imagine after 15 years or 17 years of having the same system, it was important for us to know what current technology could do for us. So we invited vendors to come in and show us their products, and we hosted, I think it was 6 to 8 different vendors that came in and did full-day presentations for us. And in the meantime, we've been putting out placeholders on our capital improvement plan, letting you guys know that this project was coming at some point. In 2024, you guys approved funding for this project, and we have additional funding in the 2025 CIPs. And we have never forgotten that you guys have been in the background supporting us, and we appreciate those funds. So, we, in 2024, began the RFP process. The first quarter, we posted our RFP. 4 vendors submitted final proposals to us. The proposals were reviewed, scored, and processed through the steering committee. And then in the end, 365 Labs was the company that was selected as their vendor of choice. .365 Labs was quite a surprise to us. When they came into the space, they asked if they could have some time to talk to us. They were a company we hadn't heard about. A number of the companies we dealt with are companies that have been recycling through the state of Minnesota, and so everybody had heard bits and pieces of what they had to offer. And we invited them to the table, and we reviewed their products. 365 heard about what was happening, and they asked if they could please have a moment of our time to talk about what they had I was reluctant because they weren't known in the state of Minnesota, and so I was reluctant to spend too much time on reviewing it, but I asked the steering committee. They said, sure, we'll give them a half hour, 45 minutes. That was passed on to the company. They did their presentation for us, and they were the first company that held exactly to the timeline they were given. They impressed everybody from the start. We had subsequent conversations, and we eventually did see a full-day presentation where they came to the state of Minnesota, they sat in Crow Wing County, and they answered all our questions about the software that they had. Some of the things that we like about the software is that it is application-based or app-based solution. It has the opportunity to give us real-time intel to our officers out in the field. We'll be able to use not only our laptops that we have, but also the cell phones that they all carry. One huge thing that they offer that is very important to us, and you've heard us talk about it in the past, is the redundancy of the system. This is going to be a cloud-based product that will be hosted and managed by the vendor. We won't see any system downtime, and all the conversations that we've had about what if a tornado takes out takes out central services, what are we going to do? How are we going to be able to continue to support these guys that I have with me today? We won't have to worry about that anymore because that plan is built into this system. They have 5 servers throughout the United States. The software just goes to wherever you're getting the best response time. And if something took out one of those areas, the other areas would be utilized. We would be able to continue to function even if we saw tragedy here in Crow Wing County. And then there was increased functionality. One of the things our current system is lacking is retention management. This system has a super slick, easy way for us to manage our records, and also expunging and sealing. When the state decided to approve the use of cannabis within the state, we were ordered to go and seal or expunge a number of records out there. It's been a very laborious process for us to get through. With this system, had this system been in place, it wouldn't have been nearly as challenging. I've got a quote at the bottom of this that I failed to highlight last time I presented it, and that is a quote that I took from their website themselves. They say their product is built for the next 20 years, not 20 years ago. They are constantly changing, building, evolving their software in order to stay current. Therese, if we could go to the next slide. Thank you. So costing the new system, you can imagine, as soon as we saw it and started to consider what world might be like if we were to use that new system, the costing was what we were concerned about. And so as soon as we got the pricing, it was quite a bit different than what we were expecting. Costing, when we did LETG 20 years ago, we put a lot of upfront costs, and then we had our annual expenses that we needed to pay. Software today is less on the front end and more annually through what they refer to as a SaaS. I had it written down when I did this presentation before. I don't have it today. Jason, SaaS stands for subscription? Software as a service. Software as a service. So SaaS agreement was something that was new to us. We had the money put away for covering a higher front end and a lower annual agreement. So we had to involve the county administrator, and we had to put our thinking caps on, figuring out how we could do it. We also had to make sure that we were only requesting the components of the system that were necessary for what we're doing. It's kind of like car shopping. When you go out and fall in love with that car that you look at, and then you look at your pocketbook, you have to figure out what it is about that car that you love so much that you're willing to exhaust your savings on it. And so what we did was we did an extensive study and look at everything they had to offer and piece out what it is that we actually need and what it is that we would just want, and then we did the cost comparison based on that. We considered where we overlap with existing systems, and are there some systems that can drop aside as this new system gets in place, and we have those identified. And then, of course, the cost sharing. And once again, I want to make sure that you recognize that we have all these chiefs here. We had to look to see what was it that we could do as a county and what our partnering agencies could do in each of their jurisdictions. Also, and this is probably what helped seal the deal for us and made this dream obtainable, is that we applied for a grant that came through. Chief Eckstead over in Baxter was aware of some funding that Sourcewell was providing. He got the information in regards to that, and we were able to apply for a grant that was awarded to us in September that gave us an additional $250,000 to put towards this project. Once we realized it was possible, we started working on contracts. We set the goal from the steering committee standpoint that we wanted to see a 50% discount for being first in state and allowing and working with the vendor to help them get approved to provide services in the state of Minnesota. We wanted to have at least a 10-year agreement. We want a system that's going to stick around and last. We don't like going through this gyration. We don't like having to worry about it. We like the stability. So we wanted to make sure whatever we came up with was something that was going to be stable. We wanted to limit our annual increases. We had heard early on from the vendor that they were used to doing, oh gosh, see, this is why I have backup, CPI or CIP or CPI plus 5% every year. And we knew that that was not going to fly in regards to the levy that we're all tasked with doing every year. So we wanted to limit those annual increases. We wanted to ensure that we had a timeline for implementation and that annual fee did not kick in until the software was here and working and had been implemented. And then we wanted to take some of the extra money that we have up front, and we wanted to be able to put that into prepaying a couple years in advance to give us all time to get our levies to a point that we could take the increase. We also know that we need to do contracts with all of our stakeholders, and we will be setting expectations within that, the 10-year agreement. And we knew that any of these contracts, we needed to have the approval of the county attorney and then also involve the county administrator. So we've been negotiating now for a couple months. And everybody's probably wondering, okay, wow, that's what you wanted, but what did you actually end up getting? And if you look at the list that I have up there, it's not any different. Commissioners, I talked to you just 2 weeks ago at the Budget Committee meeting, and I let you know what our cost estimates were and where we were at in our negotiations at that point in time. Since that happened, we were able to get an additional 5% off in first in state. We were also able to contain the cost. The presentation materials I gave you were just a straight 5%. We were able to get that down to 3%. And so there will be a contained growth of no more than 3% from year to year. And overall, in the pricing that we did, using quick math, we believe those two concessions are going to equate to approximately $500,000 over the course of this contract.
Nice work, Tina.
Hey, it takes a team, so thank you. Next one. So costing and contract review. Earlier this month, we met, as I just mentioned, at the Budget Committee meeting. As promised, we have also met with County Attorney Don Ryan and County Administrator Debbie Erickson. Both have provided their input regarding the contractual language, and I'm still working back and forth with the vendor to get those changes made. I did get a red line copy late yesterday afternoon, incorporating the changes that have been discussed. I just haven't had a chance to read through it to make sure that it looks good. As soon as we have that available, we will advance that final document to you for your approval. Debbie had said that if I can get it all worked out this week, and if you guys are agreeable, then we will advance it around for your signatures. If we cannot, our intention is then to put it on your consent calendar for December 17th so that you can sign off on it at that point in time. Is that correct, Debbie?
Yes, if everything is in the redlined agreement as Tina outlined, that's what she's going to be asking for you today, is to approve that agreement. If, as she's reviewing it, it does not meet all those criteria that has been listed here, it would come back to you for approval on the 17th.
So just to finalize things and to bring it full circle, if we do get your approval on the contract and we get that signed, I'd like to say that means the project's over, but really it means it just begins, because we've got a lot of development, we've got a lot of interfaces that need to be built. We've got to continue to work with our partners on making sure that all the city councils are signed on. We have their informal approval, but we want to formalize it, just like we're asking you to formalize it today. We also then would be working on drafting those supplemental agreements. We'll be connecting 365 Labs with the state of Minnesota so they can start doing the work they need to do for interface and approval within the state. We're going to resume conversations that we've put on the sideline. One of the visions that they have is not just having this be a system that serves all of us in law enforcement, but also folding into that our fire responders and also possibly our ambulance and other first responders. Fire is next on the priority list, so we'll start those communications. And then also, we have all this data in the system that we've had for 17 years. We need to have in-depth conversations regarding what do we do with that. Are we going to put it in a standalone system where we just have access to it, but we don't carry it into the new system, or are we going to try and carry it into the new system? Those are all conversations that have yet to be had. We will be participating in system setup with the vendor. There will be testing of interfaces that need to occur. Again, and you can tell what's on my mind, two things that are next on my list. The legacy data, because I duplicated it here, so obviously I had it on my mind that day. And then also making sure fire hasn't been forgotten. Chief Holmes has been on the sidelines through this whole process, just chewing at the bit, waiting to get involved. He very much would like to be part of a shared system with law enforcement, and we, of course, see a lot of opportunity and benefit for that to happen, too. Chief Holmes has access to a lot of his own funding, so I'm not trying to expand the scope here, but if we can partner with him to make it more efficient for the citizens of Crow Wing County and for the first responders that rely on those systems, that's what our goal is. You have any questions of me or anyone that's here today?
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple questions. So, Tina, you must have vetted out their references when you looked at this system, because it's used elsewhere in the country, correct?
Right, right.
And those all came back?
I personally haven't, but I know that the sheriff had talked to some people. In fact, we were even able to get a hold of a contract where they had contracted with the state of Texas, a couple agencies in Texas, and everything I've heard has been good. I haven't personally talked to anybody else, but the steering committee has contacts throughout the state and throughout the country. The sheriff has gone to national conferences, and he's had nothing but good things to say about it. If you'd like something more formal than that, I'd be happy to make some phone calls this week before you do consent.
I would assume that those references were contacted and didn't come back negative.
Yes. I would assume so, too. If anybody would have heard anything bad about it, they would have come to me and told me that.
Okay,
for
if
sure.
I assume that. It's not okay if you assume that.
Right. I will make some phone calls so that I can give you that firsthand assurance.
The second thing was I asked the question at our last meeting about that 10-year span, that contract.
And I have an answer for you.
Excited.
What the commissioner had asked was whether or not this was 10 years from the state of, or from the point of implementation, and forgive me, I forgot to put that into these slide presentation. So we're expecting that there's going to be a 2-year rollout, that it'll take 2 years for them to get everything approved in the state of Minnesota. So we're looking at a go-live date with this system of January 1st, 2027. If they get it done sooner, they have an incentive because they can't charge us the annual fee till they have it done, but we won't accept it sooner unless it absolutely is ready. What Commissioner had asked was, are our 10-year contracts starting from the day they start implementation, or is it starting from the day that we actually have it in here? And the answer is it starts from the day we have it in here. So we've got a 2-year implementation period, and whenever that first day of go live is, 10 years from that is what we're contracting for.
Excellent.
Appreciate that.
The other thing is that cost containment is not going to be paid on any years that we prepay. So by prepaying 2 years in advance, we won't see that first 3% increase until that third year. So that's a benefit to all of us. We will be extending that out to our partnering PDs. And so the current cost model that I have, and it's been changing quite a bit in the last week or two, but the current cost model that I have is giving them a grace period of 4 years where there is no increase to the rate, and that gives them even more time to address it within their levies. And something else for the citizens, and I know you guys have heard, but I don't know that the citizens have heard, there, in addition to the $250,000 that we receive from Sourcewell for the implementation cost tied to this project, there's also additional funding for law enforcement that has $20,000 annually that can be given out to each law enforcement agency for whatever service that they would like. And every chief here has committed to using that funding to offset their expense within this project. Everyone has completed their paperwork. Everybody was approved for that. And so when they receive their first invoice in 2025, they actually will have $20,000 of that already covered, which means that they will see a very minimal increase compared to what they've been paying all along.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
about Tina, excellent presentation. Only thing that jumped out about halfway through, you mentioned quick math, and I'm just wondering if that's something similar to attorney math.
Commissioner Corin, I think you were the only one here when I referred to somebody's outbuilding as an outhouse, and I said they had an alarm on their outhouse, and you called me on that too. So thank you for keeping me honest. I think it's a little bit better than the attorney's math.
Not nearly as accurate, not nearly.
I don't want to put the attorney under the bus, but I sat with him last week and watched him do a little bit of math, and I can guarantee it's better than that.
I was hoping you'd say that. But I would just say, Tina, what an excellent job. I mean, you certainly, you know, this has to be approved by the county board, and you mentioned that, and the county administrator. So, you know, I will say that you've done an excellent job on the presentation. I certainly liked it. So thank you.
Commissioner Corin, thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Sure. Don, as far as the contracts, is that pretty standard, fair, the type of contract you're looking over for us?
Tina and I spent 3 hours last week, one day, just reviewing. That's the second time I had seen it. And so as far as I'm concerned with the modifications, the contract's fine.
Okay. You also mentioned fire and ambulance. You know, I know all the chiefs here that are, unbelievable to see all the chiefs here.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, it is, pretty awesome, supporting what we're doing.
Yes.
And when you talked about fire and ambulance, are they going to be a partner too? Is there going to be a fee for them, or is there some type where they're going to reimburse for that, or how is?
We're just starting the conversations. We know fire for sure. We want to add on to this project. Tim Holmes and, I'm sorry, what's Chip?
Miller.
Lohmiller, Chip.
Chip Lohmiller have been attending several of the presentations that we've seen. They've been sitting in the background very patiently, just wanting to have the opportunity to get on board. I know the sheriff is committed towards that. My understanding is they have their own funding sources, and so anything that is required in order to bring them on board, they will be paying for themselves. It would just be a matter of having the support of the sheriff's office that we're willing to work with them, that we're willing to share those records and whatever else we have to do to bridge the gaps between our system and what they get access to. There's going to be some rules in regards to what we get to see as law enforcement and what people in fire have the right to see, so there's some firewalls that need to be put in place, but that would be on the vendor to solve those problems for us and just on us to test and ensure that they are there.
One of the things when you first made the presentation, I was thinking like, what is this price tag going to look like?
Yeah.
But then hearing that we've held a placeholder in our budget for I don't know how many years, so the sticker shock won't be. We've already planned for it.
We've planned for it through CIPs. There's still a little bit of sticker shock on the actual levy itself, but one of the exercises that I did at the direction of Debbie Erickson, and then also it originally came from Jory and Nancy when we met with them months ago, was, well, we understand, Debbie had suggested that we take advantage of putting money aside within a reserve account, so to speak, and that we pay ourselves ahead, set it aside, take advantage of this time that we're already paid forward, and then as payments come due, issue those checks out so that we're always staying ahead of it. So I did that exercise with the initial numbers. I did that exercise again since the budget meeting with the new numbers, and by following that plan all the way through, we end up at the end of this contract having just over $1.1 million set aside, which is excellent seed money for whoever's here at the time, whether they need to consider a new system or whether they want to continue to work with this system. But it also gives us ample time to ensure that any hit on the levy is gradual and it doesn't hit the pocketbooks of the citizens that we're serving.
Thank you. Anything else from the board at all? Deb, you want to weigh in on anything, or Don? Any of your chiefs out there want to stand up to the podium and say anything, or in regards to what we're doing?
Boy, they're rushing up there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They get here early so they can take that back row. It's known in law enforcement.
I want to say myself and probably everybody else is.
Would you come up the mic and speak, please?
This is like an interrogation. We like to know who
Yeah.
you
Come
are.
up here. Speaking for myself, Jake Meyer, Chief of Cross Lake, we really appreciate the hard work and all the hours that Tina and the rest of the steering committee has put into this. It's very much needed in the county, and it's going to help us out a lot. So thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
And just a reminder to everybody, I take the lead, and I'm standing here today, but it is a team effort, and everybody has been involved. I've had ongoing support from the sheriff and the chief deputy. We've also had the chief of police from Brainerd and Baxter, Jim and John, Jim Exted and John Davis, that have been attending every single meeting and participating and giving their opinions and their advice. And then Jason's been attending also, so that we have that IT presence, so that we're not putting any surprises on IT either, that they're well aware of what it is that we're looking to do and can plan accordingly.
Has this project pushed Exted to retire? Is that what the impetus was? Is it wore him out? 2 times.
Jim is one of the initial people that worked with me with LETG, so Jim and I both served on the steering committee at that point in time, and so this is twice that we've been through this project. I was disappointed to hear that he's retiring, and I did say at the budget committee meeting, and I will say again publicly, we, the employees and the citizens of Crow Wing County, owe a debt of gratitude to Chief Exted for all that he has done. He has been an excellent, consistent partner on not just this, but multiple projects throughout the years. And his last day, I believe, is December 10th. So he will be retiring into the public and become one of the citizens that we're serving, which he already is, but he'll be taking on a different capacity. But if we ever need to bring him back to do some consulting, I'm sure that he may not have his gun, so he won't be a gun to hire, but I'm sure he would be open to the possibility.
He's got that retiree disability. Head just goes side to side.
If there isn't anything else, I would entertain a motion.
I would make the motion to support moving forward with the implementation of the new RMS, with the final contract reviewed and approved by county attorney, to be provided when available.
Motion by Barrows, second by Hoag. Roll call.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Commissioners, we appreciate it. And Commissioner Hoag, we would be remiss if we didn't point out that you also will be retiring off of this. Thank you for all your years of service and for the partnership that we've enjoyed with you as law enforcement.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Tina?
for them to clean up before we,
Well, they can hang around.
I don't know. I don't know if we want them to.
You know what I mean?
County Attorney.
I've already spoke more today than I do at most meetings, so I don't have anything for you today, but I certainly can answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board for our county attorney? We will go on to county administrator.
Mr. Chair, County Board members, I have a couple of items before you today. The first is Senior Management Team report from yesterday's meeting. We had our first look at the engagement survey results that was recently taken in October, and you will be seeing those results at your Personnel Committee meeting coming up next week. Overall, our initial scores that we see, everything kind of trended in a positive direction, so that's always a nice little thing to see as well. We also had a very interesting conversation around the use of artificial intelligence in interviews. Is one of the things that we're currently seeing. The IT department has recently been conducting interviews for a couple of vacancies, and in their first round of interviews, they were doing interviews via Teams, by Microsoft Teams, virtual interviews. What they discovered in about 3 or 4 of the different interviews was it seemed like the candidate had some pretty well-versed and well-scripted answers. And there's apparently a process going on where folks will open an artificial intelligence type of software in their meeting and be able to pick up the questions that are being asked from the interviewers and then giving good answers that they might want to put forward for that particular purpose. So we discussed it at the senior management team level to make sure that all of our departments, if they are choosing to do virtual interviews, are aware of it, and also making sure that we're not offering any job offers until we've at least had a final interview in person with folks, that we can make sure that the information that they are sharing is truly something that they are bringing forward themselves and not that's coming out of ChatGPT. Jason said it was very interesting that one of the ways that they figured out how this was kind of being done. They could kind of see some eye movements happening with a few folks, but one of the questions they asked was, tell us about a time that you went above and beyond the Call of Duty. Well, Call of Duty is quite a popular video game, and the terms Call of Duty came up with answers for that interview candidate that was slightly different than what they would have expected. And they did that a couple of times and got the same reaction from them. So it was something that kind of triggered and highlighted for it. And upon further research, it was definitely something that is a trend that they're seeing across the country also. So just asking our departments to be aware of that when they are doing some of that. We've talked about artificial intelligence and how there are a lot of good uses that we think we can probably take advantage of with AI, but there's also some challenges and also some pratfalls that we want to be aware of as well. So keeping our eyes open in that regard is always important. And then finally, we also talked about the fact that this was our last SMT meeting of 2024. The next meeting occurs during the AMC conference, where several of us will be gone. And then the final meeting that would have been in December is the week of Christmas, and with vacations and folks out of the office, this was our last SMT meeting of the year. And we're going to start 2025 off kind of revamping our SMT a little bit and doing a little bit of work with the consultant to help us figure out what our new identity is as we move forward. So we're looking forward to that as well. The next item I have before you is to adopt the 2025 County Board calendar. You all have a copy of the calendar in your packet, and there are a couple of, these are the standing meetings, if you will, that will be adopted as your official county board meeting dates or committee dates coming in 2025. You have your county board meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month at 9 a.m., with the exceptions of the January meeting, moving that January 14th meeting to January 7th as the statutory requirement is there. The November 11th meeting would be moving to November 12th in observance of Veterans Day. And the meeting that would be normally on December 9th will be moved to December 16th to start at 5 p.m. due to the Truth and Taxation meeting requirements for that particular meeting. And then finally, the December 23rd meeting would be moved to December 30th to capture that end-of-year items that need to occur. Committee of the Whole meetings will be held on the third Tuesday of every month at 9 a.m., with the exception of moving that December 16th to December 23rd due to the budget meeting having to be on the 16th. Personnel Committee meetings will be held on the first and third Mondays of each month at 9 a.m. in the Administrators Conference Room, with the exceptions of canceling the meetings that fall on a holiday of January 20th, February 17th, and September 1st. Budget committees will be held on the second Thursday of each month at 9 a.m. in the Administrators Conference Room. The NRAC, the Natural Resource Advisory Committee, will be held quarterly on the first Wednesday at 9:30 in the Oak Room, with the exception of moving January 1st to January 8th. We also have the Transportation Advisory Committee meetings held quarterly beginning in March on the first Tuesday, either at 1 p.m. on March 4th or 9 a.m. on the other 3 dates in the Highway Department Conference Room. County Board of Appeal and Equalization will be held June 16th at 2 o'clock in the County Boardroom. And finally, we added the Solid Waste Committee meetings, as all 5 of you have indicated interest in serving on the Solid Waste Committee. Those meetings would be held quarterly beginning in January on the third Friday at 9 a.m. in the Oak Room at the Land Services Building. So if there are no changes, questions, or additions, the calendar that's put before you, we'd be asking you to adopt the County Board calendar for 2025.
Mr. Chair, if there's no questions or concerns, I would make the motion to adopt the 2025 meeting calendar.
Second.
Motion by Barrow, seconded by Coring. All in favor?
Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried.
And
Now,
Mr. Chair, I have one other item. We have court-appointed attorney contracts. As you may recall, Crow Wing County is obligated by law to supply legal counsel for parents in CHIPS cases, child in need of protective services, or in TPR cases, which are termination of parental rights cases. We currently have 3 contracted attorneys who rotate. The Court Administration Office rotates who is assigned to provide that CHIPS work in those TPR cases. We found out recently that one of our contracted attorneys is beginning employment with the county attorney's office. On Monday.
You stole them? Yep.
As such.
Stole them.
Yes, she was stolen by the county attorney for this purpose. And as such, Marina can no longer provide us with those services that we contract for. So I have had some conversation with Conrad Craigness, who does some other work for us, is not able to do the CHIPS work, but has a new attorney starting in his firm, Cody Schmidt, who has indicated he would be willing to take on Marina's cases as well as her rotation, and at the same rate that we were paying for Marina as well. So I have 2 asks before you, 2 contracts, because this contract runs through December 31st. First, I would like to approve a contract for the full year of January 1st through December 31st of 2025 with Cody Schmidt at the rate of $70,000 per year. And then secondly, a 1-month contract from December 2nd to December 31st at 1/12 of that rate to pick up the remainder of Marina's cases for 2024.
And you'd like those done separately?
Do it as one motion would be
We could
fine.
do it at one motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would make the motion to approve the recommended board action. I don't want to read that whole thing.
For the court-appointed attorney?
For the court-appointed attorney for CHIPS.
Motion made by Barrows, seconded by Hoag. Roll call.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogg? Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, that's all I have today, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has them for me.
Anybody have any more business to be brought in front of us?
Yeah, I think it was a couple months ago when Tim Bray was here and discussed supporting a safety study for Highway 6 and 11, County Road 11.
Yep.
Rob, I talked to Tim last Friday, and he had a little update on that. Would you care to share that with?
Sure, good morning. Thanks for the question. Yeah, in your consent agenda today was a resolution of support for City of Cross Lake applying for some safety funds for a trail project. It's the Highway Safety Improvement Program, and we also utilize that program. So as Commissioner Hoag had said, we've been studying 4 intersections with the state in this year, And we are going to apply for that same pot of money jointly with the state for the County Road 11 and Trunk Highway 6 intersection north of Crosby. The funding on that is a 90% federal, 10% match. The unique part about this one is if the money were awarded, it's in 2028, and MnDOT, due to their processes and policies, could not deliver that project by 2028. So the county would take the lead, do the design, and deliver the project, similar to what we did in Crosby last year. So our folks are excited about the possibility of delivering another safety improvement project. So just, I guess for your information, we will be applying for that, and we typically find out in the spring of 2025 if we were successful.
Excellent.
Rob, also in that 6 and 11 there, south of that, what is that, 30 or 32, the one that goes Milford Mine one way and then it goes the other way out to the end of the
Yep,
30,
County
is that
Road
30?
30, yep.
Yeah. Is that also included in that 611?
Not in this funding application. It's one of the intersections we're reviewing over the year. We had a lot of talks with MnDOT late last week. There's only enough funding in this federal program for one of the locations.
Okay.
So we looked at crash severity rates and things like that. 11 row is a little higher than 30.
It was?
30, yep. 30 is still on our list of a
Gonna say.
potential improvement, but 11 is the one that we're applying for this
Yeah,
year.
I know that has some enhanced signaling on it or something like that, or did have. I don't know if that's just changed. We just changed that.
We took it off the County Road 30 portion. It's
Right.
still on Highway 6.
Yeah.
Those have, those were kind of the hot item 10 years ago, and research has proven they're not a safety enhancement, so they're not used anymore. They don't take away from safety, but it's not the solution.
That's all I had. Anything else?
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would like to say to everyone, have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. And if there is nothing else, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion by Barrows, seconded by Hoag.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. We are adjourned.